What's up, guys, and welcome to Middle Earth. My
For
name
the
is
third
Marcos.
time.
We had some minor technical difficulties you guys will not see, but my name is Marcos. I'm here with my friend Jacob. What are we talking about today?
Today, I'm sorry. Today we're talking about. I've said this 3 times already. It's because I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Today we're talking about Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power trailer that just came out as of what was it today? August 23rd.
Yep.
And yeah, we're gonna talk about what we thought of it, and then we're gonna break it down, of course, as best as we can, and get our thoughts out there, hopefully for the last time. But Marcus, I'm gonna throw it back to you. What did you think? What did you think of this trailer?
Yeah, some overall thoughts. Biggest thing, I was not feeling the music. That was a really big turnoff for me. The music started playing, and I was like, "What? Like, what am I hearing?" And then I was like, "It's gonna change, right? It's gonna become like a little more orchestral." And then it didn't. I was like, "Oh man, I don't know how I feel about that." Biggest thing was the music. Obviously, looks beautiful, looks cinematic. The costumes look great, but yeah, just that music. I was like, not sure about that.
Yeah, and you know what? Like earlier in one of our other iterations of this video, you were talking about that, like you haven't seen music like that over Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't think that's the problem, because like Batman, the new Batman, had Something in the Way by Nirvana, which I think was very new for a Batman movie, but it was good. Like, it was a good use of it. Mm-hmm. Where this was very much like they found like the most cringiest song it sounded like and put it against a bunch of slow-mos, and it was cheesy, dude. I wasn't a big fan of that.
It's not that it's a new song. It's just the style is like, I'm not sure about that style. Like the Something in the Way, like it works because it's kind of in that moody emo boy style. I know yeah, I do. And I know in the Hobbit, they have an original song from Ed Sheeran, but it's just like a strings acoustic guitar song. So it works. But this was like, it sounded out of place to me.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. It wasn't, and I feel like it didn't match what was going on screen too much. It was just like they put that song over because like, hey, we actually bought this song last week on accident, so like, you know, we got to use the licensing, guys. They're like, all right, cool, we'll use it. I feel like we should talk about our levels of Lord of the Ringness.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start. So I've read the books. I've read The Hobbit, and I've read The Lord of the Rings, I think last year. I've started the Silmarillion, but I never finished it. It's a tough book to read. And I've watched all the movies, so I've watched all the Hobbits and The Lord of the Rings. And I like them. I would say I like The Lord of the Rings a lot. The Hobbits I also like quite a bit, which I know is a little controversial opinion. But I think they're pretty good. I think they're fun to watch. They're not perfect, like it's not a perfect adaptation, but they're fun to watch to me. What about you?
I would say I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings just because I haven't finished them. But what's it called? The Lord of the Rings, I've seen the first movie and I've seen most of the second movie, but I'm not a big fan. They kind of bore me a little bit. Mm-hmm. And they're a little like, the fantasy of them is a little different for me, but I will say this show has
very high fantasy.
It's not the high fantasy. It's just kind of like a mix of like if Disney did a fantasy stuff. That's the vibe I get. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but the show, like I'm not coming in here with like oh, I don't like Lord of the Rings, so I'm not gonna like the show. I'm trying to be very open minded, and what I've seen from this show has like more good than bad for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get into the trailer then. So the trailer came out, like Jacob said, it came out today on August 23rd. So this isn't the San Diego Comic-Con trailer. It's I'm guessing maybe their final trailer or just another one of their hype trailers. So yeah, it's coming out on September 2nd and it's dropping with 2 episodes. I don't know what length the episodes are. I'm hoping they're hour long.
I'm surprised that's not out yet.
What's not out yet?
The length of the episodes?
Yeah, maybe it's out there. Maybe somebody will let us know. But getting into it, so what's going on right now in the world is this is taking place during the Second Age. So this is before Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. That takes place during the Third Age. And I believe this is taking place during the rising of Sauron to power. So it's when he's pretty much making the rings, he's giving them to the different groups in the world, and then he's kind of manipulating politically to gain power. And then eventually he makes the one ring and he's able to rule them all, type of a thing. So that's kind of where the world is beginning, as far as I know. But when we start the trailer, it opens up with a action set piece, it looks like. And I believe this is the brother of Galadriel, who will most likely be the main character or one of the main characters. What did you think about that shot?
You think so? The brother?
Oh, yeah. Galadriel will be the main character.
I like this. I like the shot. It looks good. Like, that is one thing I can say. The show looks amazing. And I'm glad for that, because I think nowadays the TV standard is higher now. You can't just have something that looks like whatever and it'll be okay, you know?
Like the CW.
Yeah, like before CW was fine, you know? Now I feel like you need to have a certain level of quality. Maybe not insane, not everything has to be this level of quality, but it's good to see that it's here. And yeah, this scene gives me Battle of the Bastard vibes. It looks like whoever, I'm guessing they're elves. Like, these elves are gonna lose. And yeah, so I'm that looks good. Like, I don't know. Costume design looks cool. I don't like the shininess of the armor, but I know that's like a choice that they made. But the orcs look really cool.
They do. Some of the images that are coming out look awesome of the orcs. But inside of this scene, he's saying that I believe you brought it up, he's trying to chase or find something.
Yeah. The girl says that she's gonna continue his task of hunting the enemy.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, one of the earlier iterations, I was constantly talking about, like, what do we think the enemy is? Because Marcos was saying that apparently, that was my dog, sorry. Apparently the Sauron is like like passing as a good guy right now.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
No, but you said that. Like, that's what's right. So that's what I'm going off of. So I'm like, okay, well, who's the enemy? Who are we hunting? And why are orcs here? And it seems like before the show, because I thought, from what I remember of Lord of the Rings, Sauron kind of brings the orcs, or I don't know. Like, I don't know how that works. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see who the enemy is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also think that, I think in one of the other trailers they showed Galadriel has like a vision of what's to come. And it's possible that also the brother kind of had that insight. So I think he was trying to hunt the early... No, he was trying to hunt the early seed of Sauron's army, or whatever Sauron's trying to do. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it starts with that opening scene, and then we see that the brother's dead. And Galadriel's pretty much saying that she's going to continue what he started. And from there, it cuts to a shot of what I believe is the city of Numenor, which is like the poster child city during the Second Age. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be one of the main locations and one of the main focuses of the show. So Numenor, I would say, is almost going to be like its own character type of a thing.
It's a cheesy thing to say, but all right. What's it called? I'm curious to how many locations we get here. That's another thing that's kind of like, it looks like there's a lot. Like, we get a lot of locations. Mm-hmm. And I don't think a lot of TV does that well when you're jumping between, especially if it's like you're kind of like fast traveling. I feel like you lose that sense of time, of like journey. You feel like you're not really going on a journey. You're kind of just like arriving at certain spots.
Yeah.
And I also curious to see is like, are we just going to follow her? Like, is it just going to be about her, or are we going to be like jumping between? Because we see other characters. Yeah. But she's always kind of nearby. So I wonder if it's just we're completely just following her journey, which I'm cool with. But yeah, I'm curious to see how that goes.
Well, because after that, it shows a shot of Galadriel completely armored up, getting on one of the boats that seem to be outside of Numenor. And she's pretty much asking everybody to stand with her. So it seems like she's getting ready. She's going to war, and she's trying to build, I'm guessing, like a team of people who are going to go on that quest with her. So
that shot, looks so cheesy. I will say that. That one is that's like I don't know, like the face she's making, and then like the slow motion of her stepping up, and then mixed with the music is just like I just cringe in not a good way.
Yeah. Well, after that, we get a bunch of shots of different characters. Pretty much, it's just introducing a bunch of different characters. And
Lots of slow mo.
Yeah, just lots of slow mo. Some kids running through a field. And then we get that shot of some skinny white dude in a white robe. And I don't know who this is. I know some people are throwing out it's Sauron. I hope it's not Sauron. That guy does not look menacing to me at all. I think he's probably one of Sauron's like followers, or maybe like his hand that he sends out to do his work type of a thing. But I don't think that's Sauron. I don't know if it's been confirmed that it is Sauron, but I hope not. What do you think?
That I don't know, because Sauron to me is the eye, and then you see him before, because all I have is Lord of the Rings one. What is it, Fellowship? Mm-hmm. He's the eye, and then before that he's like looked like he's wearing Daedric armor the entire time. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't even look human or like a humanoid, Numenor. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Like, does that ring kind of change him in the way that it changes? What's his face? What's the little guy?
Oh, crazy. Gollum.
Yeah, like that. Like, did he have a different effect where he kind of becomes less than human, bulks up, maybe? You know, like, because if he's scrawny and then like, he gets the ring and he changes, then that kind of makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, like I'm a little confused at what Sauron is actually.
Yeah. So
now that I think about it,
probably some major fact checking that needs to happen here. But so there's a guy named Melkor, and Melkor was basically like the Dark Lord, and Sauron was one of Melkor's like followers. And when Melkor gets defeated, Sauron rises to power. And I believe in the book, Sauron's described as being like a super beautiful, he's pretty much like an angel, like an angelic being. He's a higher power. And so he's supposed to be a beautiful being. And then when he gets the ring, he changes. But the eye from Lord of the Rings, I believe, is just so he can see. It's not him itself. It's just an eye that he's able to look through. And I actually thought that was a really cool aspect of Lord of the Rings, is that they don't really show Sauron, but you feel like his imprint. You feel that he has such a power over the world, but he never even makes an appearance. So that's kind of cool. They did that pretty tastefully, I think. But yeah, so this guy in the trailer, though, this white dude in the robe, I don't think that's Sauron. I think he's one of the followers, or like a priest of Sauron type thing. So but after that, we then get a couple more landscape shots, and we actually get a shot of some of the creatures. So it's kind of like some hog looking thing with like a dog face, or maybe it's just a big dog, but it has hooves. The creatures look cool. I hope that there's some cool creatures in it. It kind of gives me that fantastical elements of having different beasts in the world, and it makes the world feel alive or lived in, I guess you could say.
So here's another thing where, again, like, it's like different location. Obviously there's some sort of tension going on here. Are these the things the orcs ride?
In The Hobbit?
Yeah, I think it's The Hobbit.
They might be. I don't remember. I have to go back and watch it.
But yeah, but the set looks cool. It kind of reminds me of that last part of Wheel of Time season 1.
Yeah.
Was it The Blight?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
So after that, it cuts to this African-American girl. I forgot her name. I think it starts with a T. And she is supposed to be the leader of Numenor. So she's a very strong political figure. I think she's also going to be one of the main characters when it comes to the political drama of Numenor. And that's something I guess I'm hoping they do with this show that's a little bit different than the typical Lord of the Rings stuff, is that they really lean into the political drama. So I think Game of Thrones kind of paved the way for that political intrigue in a fantasy world. And I hope they kind of take some notes from that and really lean into like the plotting and the scheming. I don't think it'll go nearly as deep as Game of Thrones, but I hope we get a little taste of that stuff here.
So like as I'm watching this, I'm starting to understand. I don't think this is a drama. I
Hmm.
think this is very much an action adventure
Yeah.
show. So I don't really think we're gonna get that. I think it's gonna be kind of like just very surface level
Hmm.
aspect of it. But yeah, I'm not expecting that, and it doesn't have to have that. Like, not everything has to be like Game of Thrones, you know.
Yeah. No, yeah, and something I think that is cool to see is when they show the shots of her and like her people, it seems like it has almost an entirely different costume and set design. It looks almost Egyptian. And I'm a big fan of being able to tell the difference between different factions in fantasy through like their clothes and through their architecture, like just those world building aspects. I'd say
I will
go for it.
I will say this. House of the Dragon is like levels above them in costume design.
Hmm.
Um, and with Wheel of Time too. I don't know if it's an Amazon thing. There is something about the costumes that I don't like. I can't explain it. They
Hmm.
look like, I don't know. It just they don't look lived in, if that makes sense. You
Yeah.
know, it looks very much like, hey, we're using this for our promo shoot, and like they use the same one. You know, like there's
Hmm.
no dirt, there's no like. There is one scene from another trailer where she's covered in ash, which I'm like, that is sick. But that's all I can think of. You know,
Yeah. No, I
it looks.
agree that everything looks very, very, very fantastical, very perfect. And I think that's also a contrast to the Lord of the Rings movies is they look a lot more lived in, but they also made everything. Like the chainmail that some of the guys would wear, they literally made by hand. Like each individual chain, they made it like how they would make it back then. And I think
Well,
it
and then
contributed to how it looked compared to
and
here.
even then, like I know this is just a trailer, but in the House of the Dragon trailer, like the detail on these, like yeah, even if they're just wearing a shirt, but the detail on the shirt
Hmm.
is insane, and like I'm not seeing that here. Which for other shows I wouldn't be so like like the kind of a bummer, but I mean this is an expensive show, and this
Yeah.
is the second time I think Amazon has dropped the ball on me for this.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't mind the costumes as much as you. I think I'm going into this knowing this is going to be a very high fantasy world. Some things are going to
It's
look
not even
very different. So,
it's not even that it's high fantasy. It's just it doesn't look done. It looks like I
mhm.
feel like it's not finished. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. So after that, we get a couple more shots of a guy on a boat and then a bowman walking into a hut. I believe that is the same guy that we get in the next shot, which is an African American elf who I think is also going to be a main character. So we might get a little bit of that jumping between different groups of people. Go for it.
Is Africa Middle Earth?
Africa is not Middle Earth, but there is.
Don't assume his ethnicity. That's rude.
True. I don't know anything about these elves, but hopefully they add a little bit of something on like where he comes from and stuff. I'm always a big fan about any world building aspects in a show, so we'll see.
I'll say this: he looks cool.
Yeah,
He looks like a G. Like I hope we get a scene where like he kicks butt, so I can be like, yeah, he's as cool as he looks.
yeah. No, I definitely think he's going to be a main character, and he might have his own little group because there's a shot where he's talking with. It's not a hobbit. I forgot the name of it, but it's like the ancestor of the hobbit. And it seems like maybe he's going to a prison because the next shot is this guy behind bars and he's saying, I'm not the hero you think. So maybe he's hunting or he's trying to find somebody for something. I'm not entirely sure. But
So I'm gonna be positive because I feel like I've been kind of negative. The cinematography looks good. I really like the way the shots are set up. Like not only does like the visuals look pretty, but like I don't know a lot about camera work, but like the framing of the shots looks really intriguing. Like it draws you in.
mhm.
I think the blending of the CGI when they have it is awesome. So I am glad that it looks that good.
Mhm. Yeah, then after that, the next main scene, because there's some more just people kind of staring and making small comments, is the female dwarf, who I believe is the leader of the dwarves
The
at this
first
time.
female dwarf.
Yes, is talking with another dwarf saying that this will one day be your kingdom. So I think that's another faction that is going to have like its own little story that's going to tie into everything else also. So there's a lot of characters they're throwing out, and in the promo material, it seems like there's a lot of characters they're trying to showcase. So I don't see it being one group. I think there is going to be several groups telling the overall story.
Yeah, my opinion's changing as we're going through this.
So after that, a couple more just big set piece shots, and then we get a shot of what I believe is also the dwarf area. It looks like it's dark, it's underground, and I think who's walking with them is, let me see if I can zoom in and see. Okay, will not comment on that. I cannot tell who that is. And then we get a shot of a old, wise, king-looking dwarf. So, yeah. Not sure what to think about that guy. I don't know who he is.
He reminds me a lot of, I don't know his name in the first Lord of the Rings, but he's like or maybe it's the second one, because I've seen parts of the second one too. The king that's kind of like being corrupted. You know who I'm talking about?
Are you talking about the Hobbit?
Like, no, it's in Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
like this
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, where his like son leaves and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he reminds me of that guy. He's got the same vibe to him.
So you get like a corrupted or being manipulated vibe?
He just looks like it. I mean, I don't know. Like, he hasn't said anything that I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds sus. But he just looks like,
yeah.
Well, he looks like he's about to die, first of all. But yeah,
he might be part of the downfall of the dwarfs, because I believe Sauron gives 3 rings. I think it's 3 rings to the dwarves. So who are going to be those 3 people that get those rings? And he might be one.
Frodo.
Because I know he promises different things to different people. Like, I believe the humans, one of the things that he tells them is, this will give you immortality, which is a big story thing, because the humans crave power, but they're mortal. So, yeah. So there might be a little bit of scheming here, manipulating that guy. Then from there, we get some shots of some orcs running through a forest in slow motion. We get the elf guy shooting his bow. And just some more action shots. And then we get a table scene, or like a dinner scene in the elvish city. I think this might be Lothlorien? Something like that. And the guy at the head of the table is Elrond, the elf with the short hair. That's Elrond. He was in the Lord of the Rings. And he is supposed to be the leader of the elves. So it seems like there's a lot of leaders. There's a leader of the dwarves, there's a leader of the elves, there's a leader of Numenor. So, yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, as we're going on, the scope of this show has like expanded for me. So
in a good way or a bad way?
I mean, it's fine. Like I don't have a preference. I think it is a lot more to handle with, like, it looks like they are going to have like different factions. Like, I'm pretty sure each of these groups is going to have like a main character that we follow. And then it's just more things to handle, more characters to handle. So we'll see how they do. I mean, it's cool. Like, I don't have a preference, but we'll see.
Yeah. So fast forwarding through a couple scenes where they're talking to one of the Hobbit ancestors, and then we've been getting a couple of these scenes where they're in the sea, and it looks like they have a wreck or something. Maybe those are the boats that Galariel leaves on when she leaves Numenor. So maybe her brother dies. She decides she's going to go on this quest to go seek out what he was looking for. They leave Numenor, and then they get in a big wreck. And there's a sea monster, which looks pretty good. We'll see how the CGI is on that. That's kind of one of those, oh man, hopefully they do it well.
like the more I see these set pieces, I'm like, this is an action adventure TV show. Like, and it's good. Like, I feel like, I don't know why I thought it was going to be more drama driven, and it might be. I might be wrong, but like, okay, like I'm going in this expecting like an epic adventure, you know?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that's kind of where TV is right now. Like, dramas are the pinnacle type thing. So I hope they have a little bit of that, though. I really do. So we also see Galadriel. I believe it's Galadriel pulling some dude out of the water. So I think that's going to be kind of how those two become a party. You know, they went out, they get in this wreck, and they're kind of the two survivors type of a thing. So yeah. Then after that, we get a shot of the elf dude, and he's talking to some woman. I don't know who that character is, but he's saying something about surviving this. So I think it's going to build up into a big battle, big war, higher tension, I guess. People are in a place where they might get killed. So,
do you think that'll happen in the show?
Yeah, I do, but not like Game of Thrones. Like there's going to be some deaths, but it's not going to be nearly as high stakes, I think. So. Then fast forward, it seems like there's a party of about like 6-7 people walking through. It looks like a blizzard, and Galadriel seems to be leading them. So again, there's going to be something that happens that starts to bring this party together. So
it might just be the survivors from those ships that we saw.
Yeah. Then we get some great looking shots of some different places in New Zealand, it seems. So cinematography, honestly, looks amazing. Yeah, all the shots are like, yeah, that looks good.
I just hope it's not that thing where it's like every cool part is like in the Batman, like every cool part is in the trailer. So like you watch it, you're like, oh man, well all this was in the trailer. That kind of sucks. That's how I am.
Yeah. Then after that, it seems like Galadriel is addressing maybe some type of political committee and says, why do you keep fighting? So I think there is going to be a little bit of that political conflict of like maybe Numenor doesn't want to work with the dwarves or the elves, and Galadriel's kind of the Jon Snow saying like none of this matters. There's like a bigger force. We need to unite. We need to be together on this because this is coming. And then everybody's going to be like, no, it's not. It's just your vision. You're over exaggerating type of a thing. So see a little seed of that political stuff, I think.
I feel like you're reaching.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't have the sound on my video right now, so I can't tell if she was the one that's saying why do you keep fighting or someone's asking her that during that scene, but I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So after that, there's a shot a couple scenes later, and this is the only one I've seen that the CGI was was kind of shaky. It's the one where she's climbing the ice. That's the only one. I guess I'll give them a little of a pass because, I mean, unless they really put somebody up there and make them climb it, I don't know how else they'd get that shot.
I can already tell the scene's going to bother me.
Yeah.
I know that there's going to be a scene where she's hanging on.
And she almost falls and somebody catches her. And...
Exactly. And it's just like, I don't know why movies still do that. Just every time it's like, I know they're not going to fall. I can't wait for someone to do it. And then they actually fall. And it's just like, oh.
Yeah. Then we get a shot where Elrond is talking with Galadriel.
Oh,
Elrond. And Elrond, he's I believe at this time, the leader of the elves. He's the guy with the short hair, the short-haired elf.
And you said he was in Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, he's a major player in Lord of the Rings.
Is he Mr. Smith?
He has long hair.
He's like, okay, I think I know who you're talking about.
You probably do. But I do need to go back because I'm probably going to try to rewatch Lord of the Rings before this. Just so I'm familiar with...
2 days.
We have like a week.
You got a week, right? Yeah, sorry.
But so Elrond's talking with Galadriel and he's pretty much telling her, put up your sword. So everybody just does not want Galadriel to do what she's doing. I know you're saying I'm stretching it, but I'm hopeful, man, that like we get that scheming of Sauron, like manipulating everybody, and Galadriel being like, people, do you not see what's happening? And everybody go for it.
I think it's going to be surface level, and it's going to be more about like kind of like a coming of age story where like she overcomes all these people telling her she can't do it. I think that's like the angle they're going to take. Okay.
I don't know. We'll find out in a week.
We will.
But then we get a little montage. We get a bunch of action shots. I'm wondering how they're going to handle the action in this. I don't think it's going to be very grounded like a Game of Thrones action. I think it's going to be a little more fantastical, like floaty type of a thing, which it's fine, I guess. Lord of the Rings, like the originals, I felt like it was a lot more grounded. The Hobbit was a little more action adventure, over the top type action, but we'll see how they handle it. So. And it does look like there is a scene where a ship is getting destroyed outside of Numenor. So might get a Battle of Blackwater type thing. And yeah, then the trailer closes on Galadriel kind of digging her sword into the snow, which I think is a super cool looking shot. The sky looks really cool. And yeah, then the trailer kind of ends there. So yeah, what do you think now, having gone through it?
I think my understanding of the show has improved. I still I have a lot of questions because I'm not into this world, which is kind of cool. Like I like that. I like not knowing everything going into it. I don't love the trailer. I don't think it. I don't know. It doesn't hook me like just the stills that they've posted have. Like when I see the shots of the orcs or like the armor and some of the scenes, I'm like, whoa, like that looks really cool. And like the cinematography. Whereas I don't think they cut a good trailer. I don't think either of them were good trailers. And maybe because they're trying to be hush hush about the plot, but then it just worries me because it's like, okay, like you don't have a plot element that has me hooked as someone who hasn't watched and read every Lord of the Rings material.
And I think that's what I'm most worried about, because I think cinematography, they're going to kill it. Music, I think, is going to be good. My biggest worry is story. I don't think the story is going to be super deep or super compelling. So typical good versus evil type story.
We didn't get any dialogue lines where I was like, oof, that's a good line. You know, like you get in some trailers where you're like, hey, like that was a cool line.
Very tropey. I think the story is going to be extremely tropey, which, I mean, that's what Lord of the Rings is. It's good versus evil, friendship over evil, like very, very tropey story. So we'll see if they lean into that or not.
Sir.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else?
No, I think, yeah, that's all I got to say.
Cool. All right. Well, we have been covering House of the Dragon content. So every week we are posting predictions and reviews of those episodes. And starting September 2nd, we're going to be checking out the series premiere, which I believe is 2 episodes of Rings of Power. And we'll go ahead and be posting our thoughts as well. So subscribe, like, comment. We love to discuss all things entertainment. So catch you guys next time.
Yes, sir.